Zack Rosenblatt covers the Sixers for NJ.com, and he joins us now as the Sixers. Man, Zach, this team has won 5 out of 6. They've been playing some better ball, but it seems that everything has kind of been negative because these videos that keep coming out about Markelle Fultz and his shooting and when he's going to be ready and how this whole thing has kind of been handled. You've got a lot of the video that you've been posting at Zack Blatt, your Twitter account, and I don't know, do you think it's getting better? Does it look like it's improved at all? How would you say Markelle's starting to look?
It doesn't take a genius to say this is like one of the weirdest situations I can ever remember regarding an NBA player. It's kind of like I would describe it as it's kind of like paparazzi following him around. As soon as you see Markelle Fultz pull up the ball and the media's there's like 10 media members with their phones out. But yeah, I think it's hard to say just because we really only see him at the very end of practice, so it's hard to get like a real good idea. Because he's just him kind of casually shooting around, and maybe he's a little tired. But I would say his free throw definitely looks better. He has pretty good form on that. I think I tweeted out one video of him shooting a free throw today. And then on his regular shot, he still kind of has a hitch before he goes up, where he kind of stops and then puts it up and kind of pushes it forward. And that's kind of the main issue I think they're trying to work through, because you can't really play with a hitch in your shot if you're going to be a scoring guard, which especially with J.J. Redick out right now, they're not going to rush Fultz back until his shot's better. But best case scenario is that he's the guy that they can get in the lineup to replace JJ.
Yeah, now, Zach, did it feel like he was getting closer to playing, like when he was in London? And then maybe, there were some people that said, man, we could see this guy sooner than later. Now it seems like it's like an indefinite, a TBD situation again, as opposed to day to day.
It's funny, the tone of Brett Brown has been pretty as open as the Sixers have been with the situation. He's told us, almost different things every time we see him, it seems like. And about, I want to say a week and a half ago, maybe 2, is when they first they announced that he was, being reintegrated into the program. It was the most vaguely worded statement I've ever seen. And then Brett Brown told us that they worked him into 5-on-5 drills, and he was almost near full go. So I think everybody started thinking, all right, maybe he doesn't come back in London just because they're all the way in London. It'd be a little weird to make his debut there. Maybe it's the Raptors. And then, it gets to the Celtic game and more video comes out of him shooting, and it looks awkward. And we talk to Brett, and we find out, the day of the Raptors game, I believe, is when he told us that it's not the shoulder aspect of it can't be overlooked, because they say his shoulder still isn't maybe 100%, or at least that's what they're claiming, but that they're not going to put him out there until they're comfortable that his shot is good enough to, not impact the rest of his game. Because Brett said today, actually, that he thinks Markelle Fultz can make an impact on an NBA game without shooting the ball, but he's not his best self without his shot. And that's pretty obvious for a guy who is best known for his ability to score the basketball. It's not easy to do that when you can't really shoot the ball physically.
Zach, when you look at this situation, listen, I've been following your Twitter every single day for Markelle Fultz news. When I look at the London situation, I saw that he was getting closer, but then when his shot, I said, everybody sees the shot, he's not playing. He's not playing. The Sixers aren't going to let him play with a shot looking like that. Have you seen his shot progressively get better throughout the last couple of days? Or is it just still the same as it was in London? Because when I seen your video today of him shooting that little fadeaway, I said, okay, it looks a little bit better. The hitch is still there, but it seems like we're getting some progress.
The free throws look better anyway.
Yeah, I think the free throw thing is the most encouraging part about all of it. I think the hitch is going to be an issue until he can at least, lessen it or somehow reduce it or whatever, and maybe look a little more natural when he's shooting the ball. But the fact that he is putting good form on his free throws, which he actually wasn't even a great free throw shooter in college. I think he only shot 60%, 65%, which is pretty low for a point guard, shooting guard type. But yeah, I think that's the most encouraging thing that we've seen in terms of the form, just in the limited, because we don't get to see the full practice or anything. So it's hard to say how he's looking in game situations. And I know Brett said that he's been running him as the backup point guard, even ahead of T.J. McConnell. So it's just so weird. It's so hard to figure out. And, it wouldn't surprise me if he came back next week. It wouldn't surprise me if he didn't come back till the All-Star break. There's no actual timeline. And I don't think the Sixers really have an idea of when he's coming back either at this point.
So, Zach, your best guess, listening to Brett, his comment saying that Markelle doesn't have to shoot, to be impactful in an NBA game, and him running before TJ with that second unit, do you think it's more likely that he does play before the All-Star break? And I know you just said that, wouldn't be able to predict it, but I mean, for what you're getting the feeling of, is it more likely that he plays before the All-Star break just to trot him out there? Or do you feel like that, they're not playing him until he looks like Washington Markelle Fultz?
Yeah, I mean, the indication is that they want to wait until he is the Washington Fultz. They want to get him back to what he was because he's not there yet. But I still would be pretty surprised if he's not playing by the All-Star break, which is a month. I think it's almost exactly a month. I think it's a month from tomorrow, actually. If he's not playing by then, I don't know what the odds are that they kind of force him out there and just let him play for the last month or two. That doesn't seem like it'd be good for him. So I think I don't know if it's a prediction so much as a hope that for his sake that he's able to get back onto the floor and get his confidence back to the point where they are confident in playing him.
Zach, the hitch that he has, do you think that is coming from him still being injured, or mentally there's something wrong there? Because we talked a little bit about this on yesterday's show, and Mark Jackson was on with us, and he kind of agreed. In fact, it was his opinion that he thinks the team is allowing these videos to get out. Like, why would they allow these videos to get out if he has this jumper that doesn't look right? And he thinks it's a way for them to show people, like, hey, it's not us holding him back. His jumper's not ready yet. But if you talk to people who, like doctors and stuff, they can't understand how he's not prepared and ready to play, that his shoulder should not be giving him issues anymore, right?
Yeah, that's the most interesting part. The Sixers are smart enough to know exactly what they're doing. They weren't he wasn't out there until a week or two ago, and they know that they've seen us post all these videos, and they haven't given any details in their statements about his injury and his updates. It's all been pretty vague. So I think your assumptions about them wanting to show that like they're not the reason why and that they're he's physically ready to come back, I think that's probably a fair assumption. I don't know how accurate that is, but that'd be my guess. And I think he is in his own head. I mean, my impression, and this is just from covering the team for the last few weeks and talking to people, that maybe he changed his shot at some point between when he left Washington and when he got to the Sixers, and now he's just kind of been trying to figure out how to get it back to where it was, and he just hasn't been able to yet. And I honestly don't know of any situation that I've ever seen that's quite like this. Brett Brown even said as much. He said he's an old man and he's never seen anything like this.
It's funny that you say that, Zach.
For sure.
It's funny that you say that, Zach, because I was listening to a podcast the other night, and Jalen Rose said, from the information that he gathered, that Fultz got with a personal trainer after he got drafted to tinker with his shot. Now, from where I'm standing, I don't understand why you tinker with your shot if you're the #1 overall pick in the draft and you shot the ball so well in Summer League and you look like a guy that can really stretch the floor with that jump shot. Now, I can understand his free throw, but I just don't understand why the guy would say, listen, I need to change something that was already working.
That's the strangest part about all this. I talked to a scout pretty recently, and he said it's not like his shot was great coming out of college, but this was a kid who shot, I think, close to 40%.
41, from three-point range.
Which is really good, and that's on quite a bit of shots. He averaged 23 points a game, and he was in a pretty tough Pac-12 conference, but and on a team that had nobody around him, so he didn't really have spacing either. So that's the thing that's so weird about it. It's not like his shot was bad in the first place, so why are you completely altering the format? It's possible some outside sources, like a trainer or something like that, maybe got in his head, but until we see him back out on the floor, and until the Sixers give us some concrete info, for once, we're just all going to be speculating until he plays.
All right, Zack Rosenblatt, NJ.com, covers the Sixers. Now, they're going to miss Redick for potentially, when the Sixers tell us 10 to 2 weeks, that could be a month or two, the way they handle things.
They said they're going to reevaluate him in 10 to 14 days.
14 days, right.
That just means they could reevaluate him again 2 weeks after that.
Right. So how do they kind of fill the void without him? 17 points a game, obviously their best three-point shooter. He is a big void for them to have to fill. So what are some of the ways that Brett Brown thinks that they'll fill that void?
Yeah, it's a problem, that's for sure. Their shooting's an issue up and down the roster. really their only consistent three-point shooter. Robert Covington has really tailed off since he had that crazy start. He still has the talent to keep shooting, but with Redick out, they're going to start Jared Bayless. He's shown flashes as a starter. He's not, you know what you're getting with Jared Bayless. He's a guy who can score in bunches, and he's maybe not great on defense. He's not that athletic, and he's not a great passer, but he can score in bunches, and Brett Brown trusts him. And then beyond that, he indicated he's going to give more playing time to guys like Timothy Luau-Cabarrot and Justin Anderson, but those guys haven't really inspired much confidence so far. And they signed James Young to a two-way contract a week ago, and he's shown some flashes of shooting ability, and I think they might give him a chance to kind of prove his worth. And Brett even kind of indicated, he didn't say it directly, but he kind of indicated they might even look to Joel Embiid to shoot a little more three-pointers. And I'm not sure if that's the best fit for this offense, and it wouldn't really surprise me if they went away from shooting a lot of threes and tried to just pound it down low until they figure out the shooting situation. I don't know if they're trying to trade for a veteran in the meantime. I think it would make sense if they really want to make the playoffs this year, but they also want to save cap flexibility for next year. So this is a really big loss for their lineup. I mean, they have the stars in Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, but they don't really have somebody on the roster who can replace what J.J. Redick can do for them.
He's at Zack Blatt for more on the Sixers. Follow him there. A lot of videos from Markelle shooting at practice and some more Sixers news from NJ.com. Zack Rosenblatt here on the Sports Bash. Thanks, pal.
Thanks, Zach.
Thanks, guys.